Well, I'm back again. This is my Lovecraft Country episode 2 prediction, analysis, reaction, all of that. So, this is for Whitey's on the Moon episode 2. Well, now, how about those family secrets and secret desires? We learned more about the characters this episode, okay? Like a whole lot more. And there's still more to be learned, I'm sure. We were also properly introduced to the Braithwaites and the poor silver Bentley, that Battymobile. Okay, I am so sad that it got trashed. Again, that car stayed getting wrecked. I know they're magicians, but daggone, I would still be mad if I had to use my magics to repair my beautiful car, especially if it was a work of art like that. Spoiler alert, I'm going to say this at the beginning. If you ain't watched the episode, don't get mad at me if I talk about what happened, okay? You should watch the episode first. Don't get mad at me. That's all I'm going to say. Spoiler alert, okay? So, I am Kim, aka Glam Powered, at Glam Powered, on Instagram. I'm a lot of things, including an intuitive series watcher and reviewer. And as I said in the last episode, I am an instant Lovecraft stan. So let's talk about the format of my commentary so that you'll know what to expect. We have people, okay? I'll be talking about the people, maybe the people who are specific to this particular episode and all that jazz. We have concepts. We're going to be exploring some of the concepts and themes of the episode. Context, which, it's like the who, what, when, where, why, how. My favorite scenes, memorable scenes, and possibly quotes as well. Of course, the prediction. Okay, y'all want to know what's going to happen next? Let's see if I get it right. Okay. Questions. You know how when you're watching a series, you're like, oh, I wonder if this is going to happen, or oh, I wonder if that's going to happen. We'll do our questions and tidbits, which low key, they're factoids, but it's also a little bit of my analysis as well. So it's a combination of factoids and little things that were dropped in the show, little nuggets. This show is full of nuggets, full of chicken nuggets. And just analysis as well, okay? My thoughts, theories, and all that stuff. So let's get to it. First, we have the people. Okay, so we're introduced to the, I was going to say lovely, but interesting is a better word. lovely looking, and interesting Braithwaites, okay? So these are essentially the white side of the family tree. Okay, so we have Titus, who is Atticus's great grandfather. So back in the dizzy, back. Okay, turns out, typical slave owner behavior. We take advantage of the women and we impregnate them. So Titus did all that to Atticus's great grandmother. Shout out to mothers, okay? And her name was Hanna, okay? And Hanna is obviously magical. If you didn't watch the episode, like I said, spoiler alert, obviously of the magical variety, okay? We'll get more into that in a little bit, but yeah, that bloodline is real, okay? We were introduced to the Order of the Ancient Dawn and these folks who call themselves the Sons of Adam. They're basically, I'm gonna go with warlocks. They use wizards in the series to describe them, but warlocks are evil wizards, and as far as I'm concerned, they evil. So warlocks. Okay, they know their stuff though. They dangerous. These are some dangerous magicians that know their stuff, and they are trying to get back to Eden. Okay, and If you watched, then you know how that turned out. Then we have the magical fairy creature known as Christina White, who is not too happy, okay, about being involved in this patriarchal, male-dominated, sexist, racist, all of the ist society that she just happened to be born a woman in. But she's a baddie, and we respect her. Do we trust her, though? That's the question. We'll get to that. Do we trust her? She's being nice, but there are different versions of nice. Do we really trust her like that? Do we trust her? We'll find out. Okay, so Christina, okay, she's the baddie. Also the owner of the silver baddie mobile. That's why I named it the baddie mobile, because she's the one who drives it. The Bentley, that's her car, okay? We saw her in episode 1, but we didn't really know who she was, okay? That's who she is. We have her daddy, aka Mr. President from Scandal, Sam. Will, he's an interesting person. He seems kind of neutral, but he's attached to Christina, and there is nothing neutral about Christina. Therefore, he is not neutral. He's a friend who is also a boy. That's the way he's described in the series. And he's perceived as being a servant, but he's not really a servant. We kind of don't know his connection, but he's connected to Christina. So like I said, I'm not really trusting, not 100%. They're a team, okay? They're low-key Bonnie and Clyde type situation going on from what I can gather. Maybe without the romantic aspect, but they're a team. So there's that. And then, of course, the beloved Dora, okay? We got to see her as well. This is Tic's mom, and as you know, she died. So this is a supernatural series. In supernatural series, people who are dead are not really dead, because we're all really energy, right? So we get to see her in this stunning yellow dress. It was a really pretty yellow dress. That was my favorite dress ensemble, even though Letty brought it. That was my favorite. I just loved it. It was so pretty. Okay, favorite ensemble of this episode. So there's that. That's them. Now, I like to do a little name explanation and all that stuff. Name splaining. So for Christina, did you, when I first was like, I'm going to look this name up. The first thing that popped into my mind, though, was Christ. I was like, I never made that association. Christina. Christ. So Christina means anointed person and Christian. It just means Christian, okay? So Christina, if you want to do the whole Christ connection, she's been a bit of a savior so far. She's been saving people, okay, that other folks really did not give a damn about, that would have left for dead and tried to dead up in this series, up in this episode, right? So that's real interesting, and I'm getting even more as I'm speaking on it. This is a bit of a prediction before we even get to the prediction, but like I said, I don't really trust her like that. Not really. There are some ulterior motives going on, but I'm also getting this vibe that she is going to be even more of a savior later when it comes to saving and preserving the magic, if you will, the bloodline magic, because she knows the tools of the trade. She's been trained. She's been well taught, well studied. She just has not been given an opportunity to fully use her knowledge base because she's a woman, and in the particular society that she's been born into, women aren't meant to hold that power. They're not meant to wield that power. But even Hanna, she survives in a manner, right? If you watch the episode, then you know what I'm talking about. So there's something about the survival of women in this BS society where men are supposed to be in control. But as we'll discuss in a bit, their perception of control and the reality of how much they actually control, those are two different things, because energy and karma come into play, and energy does not play by man's rules. It does not. It plays by energetic rules. Okay. And we'll talk about that too. All right. So yeah. Christina, Christian, aka possibly Savior, because of the Christ connection. Yeah, real interesting stuff. Okay, so we're gonna get into a few of the concepts. Let's explore a few. Of course, I want to say this: reality. We had that in the first episode. It pops up again here. But let's talk about Adam, Eve, and Adam's snake. If you saw the episode, then you know what I'm talking about. Really interesting. I never thought about, the snake being what is between a man's legs. I never thought about it like that before. So I thought that was really interesting. And if you think about like the sacredness of sex, intercourse, it's such a beautiful thing, but it's been perverted and turned into something ugly and uncomfortable and unpleasant. And it's really interesting. It's been stripped of its magic. Okay. And it's also been a weapon used against women. Okay. We see that in this episode, and it's so crazy because if you think about it, that's creation happening, creation energy happening, creation energy being called upon and channeled between two bodies, and it's been turned into something else, right? So that's explored in this episode. The concept of Letty being Eve, I wanted to drop that in too, because she does what she wants to do again. Free woman, free spirited woman. Eve has always been frowned upon because she did not follow the rules. She broke the rules, right? So I thought that was an interesting connection. Now let's talk about ancestry, okay? How we're all connected. Even in this series, we have segregation and separation going on, and you just can't. You can't. It's the circle of life. We're all connected, and we still don't even know how connected we are to this day. Okay, that concept. So we have that concept of the reality that we claim, oh, I'm this and I'm that, versus the reality of what actually is. Okay. Oneness. We are all connected. Okay. And I wanted to talk to, I forgot to say at the beginning, my concepts are not in any particular order. So I'm just going down the list just in case you were curious. All right. So let's get into the concept of them being those in power, writing the rules, and then having that turned around on them. It's like everything that's feared by those in power, their greatest fear, it comes back and bites them in the butt, because you cannot suppress what cannot be suppressed. You can't do it. The reality is you're not in control. You're not actually in power. You're not. Thinking you're in power and actually being in power, those are two separate things. And we see that play out. We see that play out in this episode, right? And we're seeing that play out in real life. You don't actually control S. You don't actually control S. You just think you do. All right? Two separate things. So there's that. And then I also have this concept of the truth being suppressed again. And I made a note. We are magical. We're magical, right? But that truth was suppressed. Okay, aka slavery. That was the suppression of magic within a particular group of people. But it just because you suppress it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, that it cannot escape, that it cannot leak out from the barriers, or just make itself known in spite of the barriers that were placed on it. So we see that happening. We see that happening. Atticus didn't even know all this. He didn't even know. And he still was alive at the end, while others were not, who air quotes knew, right? Interesting. And then going back to us being all connected, this concept of us needing each other, we see that even with oh, yo, I forgot to I don't think I mentioned George and the people. We meet Tic's dad in this episode too, properly. Okay, we meet him too. Um, I mean, did I say George? Montrose. We meet him too this episode. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know how he didn't get in here. But anyways, we meet Tic's dad. We meet his dad in this episode, okay? So that's somebody else that we're introduced to. And he's, it's funny because they call themselves coming to save him. Now, he didn't already count the Monte Cristo up out of the jail cell. If you guys have not read the book or watched the movie, that was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I loved that movie. I watched it a couple times. It was just always just like a thing. Anyways, he maneuvered his way on up out of that jail cell. Not the jail cell, really it was a dungeon. He made his way out of the tails of the crypt of the dungeon. But they called themselves trying to rescue him. And he was like, why'd y'all come? I don't need y'all. He's a very difficult character. He's very difficult. I love him. I understand him. I get him. But he's difficult. That's all I'm going to say. Difficult. I feel for Tic. And I feel for people with daddies like this. Hard to love. Hard to love. Because life made them that way. It's so sad. Anyways, okay, so the concept of us needing each other, even when we act stank, when people come and try to rescue us, you still needed them. You still needed them. Anyways, that's that. Karma, you thought you were going to do all this and withhold all this magical information, and it wasn't going to come back and bite you in the butt, Sam? You thought you were going to suppress the people that didn't fit your narrative and that they weren't going to come into power, Sam? Karma. Sam thought, oh, we just need your body because you're a vessel. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You are not the vessel. You may have all the knowledge, but if you are not the vessel, then it doesn't work like that. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit too. This concept of power. So that karma came back. You try to exclude the people and you got excluded in the end. That was the karma. I always love it when karma plays itself out in series because it does. Even in series, it always loops back around. What you do always comes back to you. Always. Always. And it's just always interesting to see. So karma, that was in this episode. And I wanted to talk a little bit about a corrupted root chakra. Okay. So first of all, let me explain that for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about. So in the energy body, we have these energy systems, and really we have them all over our bodies. But the main ones are the 7 ones that go down the center of the body, if you will, starting with the root, which is traditionally in the groin area, but also in our feet. So if you think about the roots of a tree, the tree is rooted in the earth. If it's not, it topples, it falls over, it dies. We are also rooted, but we're rooted vibrationally and energetically, okay, to this plane, to this earth, to the universe, okay? And so houses are symbolic of that. And in this episode, we see the house crumble. Literally. The root chakra is destroyed at the realization that it was rooted in a non-truth. So we have that exploration of the root chakra, and then also the root chakra can be, how can I explain this? It can be connected to your childhood and in those foundational aspects like your parents. And we see that with Letty. And I thought about Letty because she's had such a difficult time being grounded and rooted in this series. She's floating around, bouncing around here, needing support, needing help. I know what that's like when your root chakra is corrupted. It's just really hard to flourish in this world, in this matrix, and in the structure that we have when your root chakra is just compromised. It's really, really difficult. Okay, I'm going to give you another example. Babies who are born sick, poor babies. I was one of those babies. The root chakra has some issues going on because you weren't able to form in a healthy, air quotes, normal manner. Something has happened to the root chakra. It's been compromised. Okay. So I hope you get an understanding of what I'm talking about. So the whole concept of what they thought was normal, or that they thought was acceptable, or was the way to do things. And I'm talking about, the Brave Whites and Sam and his whole clan, even though they say they're not the KKK, they might as well be. That got upended when Tic entered the picture. That was that. So the house fell down, and this was the second time that house was destroyed, or the lodge was destroyed. Really interesting concept. And the thing about energy is energy cannot be created or destroyed. So they're just starting from ground zero again, right? So they get to recreate the story and rebirth it. And I'm going back to Christina because I think she's going to be instrumental in that. It's going to be really interesting. And yeah, I'm trying to hold off on the predictions until we get to the prediction part. But anyways, that's that. We have the black body and the pursuit of its power, aka, what was the name of that movie? Oh my God. Appropriation. I'm gonna just say that. aka appropriation. Okay. Literal, figural, figurative, spiritually, all of them. Okay. Just the taking over of, the using, all of that. It's a problem. We see that enacted in this episode. We also see family secrets, right? Family secrets. I mean, there were a lot. Just secrets in general, but like, daggone, bruh, family secrets. That was interesting. Watch the episode if you didn't watch it. So something that I wanted to talk about a little bit more was the different types of magic. Okay, there were different types of magic that were explored and demonstrated in this episode. So the first one that I wanted to talk about was they use frequency magic. Okay, we see that with the sound. Okay, so it could be sound healing, or sound magic. Really, we see that with the whistle. We saw that in the first episode, and I was like, are they the shagas, the monsters? I was like, are they frequency sensitive? Because as soon as we heard that whistle blow, they started to disperse, and we saw the actual whistle in this episode. So yeah, they are frequency sensitive. You know, that's a real thing. Sound healing is a proven thing. It works really well. It can also be used to disperse and discourage as well. The right frequency can get rid of some heebie-jeebies, y'all. Trust. Yeah. So we see that. And then what else do we see? Earth magic. Okay. So we see Christina with the baby, but with that baby monster, but the baby monster is being birthed through a cow. That's an example of Gaia, and Gaia being used, Gaia being like the energetic Mother Earth, if you will, spiritual version of Mother Earth, if you will, being utilized. You can use the earth and animals and nature and to create different things. So we see that happening in this episode. We also see what I called subconscious, aka ayahuasca, because ayahuasca is subconscious energy magic being used when we see everyone being Tic, Laddie, and George. They're locked in their rooms and they're going through these subconscious experiences that they've been induced into having by the Great Whites and their whole clan, right? They're seeing things that aren't there. That's that subconscious energy magic. We see that happening. Ancestral magic comes through when Hanna comes and she saves the day again. Saves the day again. She lived. Okay, so that was her saving the day. She lived when she was supposed to die, and she came back again to lead Tic out of the same situation. The perfect person to do it, because she did it before. She survived the fall of the first house, and she helped Tic survive this time. She passed that down. Okay, ancestral magic. I don't think, okay, I'm going to talk about it here. I know my notes. Anyways, y'all can't see my computer screen. Let me just speak. Sigils. We also see sigils being used, okay? And I'll talk about sigils in a little bit more, but those are like the symbols. It looks like a circle, kind of, with lines composed of lines in this series, but that's a type of sigil. We see an energy sigil being used. You know, when they're trying to escape in the Bentley and the Bentley gets crashed, yeah, you see it glow up then, and then also you see the sigil again on the robes of the order, and you also see it used in the door frames of of Atticus and Letty and George in their room. So sigils are magical symbols, I'll say that, but they can be used for different functions. And I thought that these sigils were very interesting. I hadn't seen sigils used in this way before, and I was like, oh, y'all giving me ideas. Yes, you can use actual sigils. You can make them. That's a whole nother topic of discussion. I'm not talking about that. But anyways, yes, they're real interesting. Real interesting. I thought that was cool. Okay, so yeah, those are the concepts that I wanted to talk about. I have context here. I think I should move the context up to closer to the beginning of my notes, because it don't make sense here. We didn't already talk about everything. The who, what, where, and where, why. Y'all get it. They woke up. So at the beginning of the episode, they woke up in that beautiful lodge, living their best lives, except for Tic, because Tic remembered everything and everybody else forgot what happened, right? So it's kind of like, what is happening up in here? We playing the Jeffersons, we moving on up, but Tic is like, nah. Nah. He was unsettled. He was just like, this is not right. This is not right. Like, how he was processing while everybody else was up there in their rooms having a good time with their books and their clothes, not really thinking about what happened, right? So I wanted to talk about that too. So the context is making me think about this concept of memory and history and how things have been forgotten. Your magic is forgotten. The truth has been twisted and tainted to suit those who are in power. So that's another concept that's related to the context. Okay, so we see that at the beginning. They wake up in this house and they done forgot all hell done broke loose, and all hell is breaking loose around them and they don't even know it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to move my context up for the next recap, if you will. But anyways, that's that. Now let's get into the favorite scene. So for this, when I was watching the episode, and I watched the episode twice, by the way, to make sure that I'm getting as much juice out of the lemon as I can. But anyways, like, you watch yourself in real time and then something happened and it's like, oh. So this is what happened. This is what happened a little bit. So my first favorite scene initially, keyword, a partial favorite scene was the scene when Letty and Tic were having their romance scene, right? And I was just like, ooh, like that happened real quick. Like, dang, I thought we was gonna have to wait to episode 5. They going in at episode 2. But then y'all know what happened. So I had a brief moment of yes. Oh, but no, that's not actually what happened. That was some subconscious, some subconscious desires, some ayahuasca magic. But anyway, so that happened. briefly. And then but I do want to say that I loved, and this is related to the root chakra, by the way. I love Tic's line when he's like, I'm never going to abandon you. Like, oh God. In real life, though, we need that to happen in real life. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyways, for now it happens in the subconscious kind of dream world life. So that was really, I was just like, yes, honey, yes, tell her these things. She needs to hear them. She needs it. But anyways, hopefully they'll get back to that later. So there was that scene. But then another really beautiful subconscious love scene was George and oh, I feel like I'm getting these names wrong some kind of way. Anyways, George and Tic's mom. George and Tic's mom. I feel like I'm getting my names wrong. Okay, y'all bear with me. I do suffer from a bit of confusion sometimes, and I just talk right through it and work right through it. If you hear me getting facts and tidbits twisted, excuse me, and y'all know what I'm talking about. But I gotta go back up and check my notes to make sure that I'm not straight out of. I am not Dora. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was suffering from a bout of confusion. So George and Dora, Tic's mom, okay, they were sitting up there, you know, being all lovey dovey, and that was one of the family secrets. Okay, y'all ain't know about that. Y'all didn't know about that. Dora was getting it in. Okay, she was getting it in with the family. It looks like, and sometimes it beats like that, and that must have been how it was. Okay, all right. So yeah, something transpired, something serious. It looked like something long term. Perhaps something pregnancy inducing, because she brought up the kids. So that whole scene was beautiful, and like I said, her dress was also just so pretty. It was just such a gorgeous dress. But I did want to say something. This was my favorite scene, and did y'all catch George's response to Dora's question? Let me change my notes, y'all, because I am sitting up here. Dora's questions about whether or not the loving couple in the house in the Borderlands, this is a book, if they stayed together forever. Did y'all catch that? He said yes, but only because the house collapses on them. And what happens at the end of this episode, y'all? What happens? What happens? What happened to the house? Exactly. So that was my favorite scene. And they gave us a little prediction there. Now, speaking of predictions, let's get into predictions. Y'all, I was making predictions within predictions. So, you would have already have seen the episode, right? So you already know what happens. I was predicting stuff that happened in the episode. I thought it was going to happen like later on down the road, but it happened I was just like, hey girl. So the first prediction within this particular episode was, I knew that Tic was going to tell the racist wizards to leave the room with the exact non-YouTube friendly wording that he used. I said it at the exact same time he said it. I was laughing. I was like, dang. I said the exact same thing. He said it too at the exact same time. And then also, Mr. President from Scandal, I knew he didn't have the pool. He did not have the pool. He was trying to use Tic, the plug, but it don't work like that. He didn't have the pool to do what he wanted to do. And you know what? He didn't have it. And look what happened. That was straight out of the Bible. Turned to dust. Blew away. Blew his ass away. Dusted him. Okay? He ain't had that pool. It wasn't his pool to be pulling from. So there was that. And then, okay, here's where I'm going back to Christina, because I love her, but I don't trust her. She's up to something, and Will is her accomplice and what she's up to. Ain't nobody got time for this. And our Eve, one word, one name, one very famous name, Eve. She's a daughter of Eve. They the sons of Adam. So Eve, and also, low-key as in Lilith. If y'all don't know about Lilith is like Eve's shadow. Okay, like the super demonized version of Eve, where she's technically the first witch, and maybe the first like sorceress demon type character. She's what Lilith is what Eve becomes after the fall, essentially. Like that's the story, right? But Lilith is a very magical, powerful being within her own right. But yeah. So I'm getting that type of vibe from her. And the thing is, she may become the attaché for Atticus and the other lodges, because in the episode we find out that they have these lodges all over the country. This is not the only one. There are others, but I feel like she's going to have to become the attaché and the communicator and the translator for them to do business later on, because they need each other. They're connected. That's just the way this cookie crumble, because Atticus is a juice. And y'all notice he kept his ring, right? He kept that ring. That ring was still intact. I think he forgot about that ring on his finger because he was trying to get the hell up out of there. But trust me, that ring has momentum. It has power. And Christina even told him, she even hinted at it. She was like, I've wanted one of these my entire life, and I can never get one because I'm a woman. And here you are, you get one simply because you're born a man. But that ring has power. And Atticus doesn't know how to use it, but who does? Who will later on in the series? Betcha, Christina. They're going to be able to use that to change that whole power dynamic of that whole situation. And the power dynamic has already changed. It's done. It's done because we're in the right time in history. This is the right generation. There's always a pivot in generations. We have systems and then they get pivoted. So we're at a pivot point, and but this time it's gonna have to be Christina and Atticus that do the pivoting. Okay, they are the youngsters of this generation that are gonna have to take that old A energy that's not working and crumbling around this old patriarchal society that they don't even know it. They are going to have to be the ones to pivot that, and they're going to have to do that together. Okay, Christina worked and studied her entire life. She's greatness. She knows the rules of the game and how to play them. Okay, she knows, and she wants her seat at the table, and she's going to get her seat at the table. Okay, so I could see her being there and being how do I explain this, being the extender of the bloodline, if you will, in that capacity later on. Okay, they will be working together, and they will have no choice. It's just going to be what it's going to be, but they will be working together. So that's my prediction. So now let's get into the questions. First of all, that forgetfulness spell, they went through some dramatic stuff. Monsters, we find out magic is real. All this stuff happened. On top of I hate to say it, but on top of the regular typical stuff, you getting ran down by racists and shot at. But anyways, would you lift the forgetfulness spell? Tic told Christina to lift the spell. Like if she was really down for them, she needed to lift the spell so that they could remember what the hell was happening. But would you lift the spell? That's the question. Okay, let me know in the comments. Would you rather forget or do you want to remember everything? Okay, let me know in the comments. And is it to me? Or I'm sorry. Okay, I'm reading my misspelled notes. I know what I meant to say. Is it me or did the pacing pick up? I feel like it got way fast in this episode. Like, it went way fast. I think they did a 3x of the pacing. They got more in. There was a nice draw. And maybe that might be the momentum of the series itself. But there was a nice draw. And then they started to pick it up this episode. Like, there was no let up. Like you had to catch your breath at the end. So did you notice the pacing? It picked up to me. Okay, so first of all, again, what's up with Tic and Miss South Korea? Okay, they are violent. They violent. He keeps superimposing her. Well, I don't know if this was a superimposed situation, but I think so because I'm not sure that women are allowed to fight even to this day in the military. They might be in Korea, but I'm 90% sure that they're not. I'm a teacher, you guys. I'm an international teacher, so I know that the men, like, what's the word? Like, it's compulsory. You have to draft. Like, you're automatically drafted before you can do anything else. You have to do that, and then you can start working. But I don't think women are in the military. So I think he was superimposed. He superimposed her, and he been superimposing her. He been superimposing her. I don't know if I mentioned in episode 1 he superimposed Miss South Korea in the John Carter dream, but that was her. If I don't remember if I said that, but yeah, she stays on his mind, and she he's obviously she's connected to South Korea, but he stays superimposing her. But what is up with them? What is going on? Dang. Okay, so there's that. And then, okay, so everyone just gets to sit back and watch them struggle. What the hell? What the hell? The surveillance situation, they sitting up there fighting their demons and having a ayahuasca situation, and they sitting up there taking back them brandies. Well, the karma already came back and got them for that, because that was some cold-blooded shit. I'm glad I said it like that. I'm trying to watch my mouth. That was some cold-blooded S. To sit up there and watch somebody struggle like that, and you sitting up there taking back brandies and having conversation. It's a casual dinner situation. This is your dinner in a movie. You gonna watch this and you gonna eat like nothing happened. That was some cold-blooded S. And that is also commentary on what happens in real life. That's just sitting back and watching. Really? Okay. Next. What's up with the village surrounding the lodge? The lodge itself was destroyed, but that village is still there, because they were the helpers. They were staff, basically. They were attached to that lodge. That lodge was a bloodline of the village. Everybody there worked in some capacity for the lodge. We had that evil dog keeper that got taken care of by Letty. Shout out. I was so happy when she came and bopped her upside the head. Letty was real quick with it. Boom, she out. That was so good. So we have that happening. But that whole town, it's whole families. Those people also, they know, I don't know if they know the whole truth, but it seems like they do. Like they would have to know the whole truth, right? They would have to. So what's up with them? What's going to happen with them now that the lodge has been done for? Okay. And the other thing is too, we didn't see Christina and Will leave. The lodge crumble, but you know they living. You know they live. They did not die. So real interesting. I wonder if they're going to be managing that town and resurrecting something, but something that's more favorable. That's another little question / prediction type thing. Okay. What's up with the village? Okay. And then, I just shout out to all the book references. I want to read more. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I mean, oh my God. If you're not a reader, then you're going to have difficulty. I'm even having to go back and research to see what all is what, House on the Borderlands and all that stuff. Like, what is it? Because all of it has significance. So, I mean, my question was, is it me or do you want to read more books? Like, seriously. Calamari Cristo, shout out to Dumas. Seriously. Okay. So anyways, have you, okay. Have we really woken up to the truth that we are magical? This is something else, because you have to think this story is a lot of things, but for Tic, this is a magical coming of age. We talk about black girl magic, right? We talk about it, but have we really woken up to that? That concept is being explored. I think we have somewhat, but not fully. Because if we had, then all the foolishness that we're experiencing just would cease. because we would know how to deal with this. We would already be, it just would not be a thing. What's suppressing us would be suppressed because our magic would be overpowering it, and it just wouldn't be a thing anymore. It would be obliterated. So that's my answer to that question. But let me know, have you woken up? Do you think you've fully woken up to your own magic? I've woken up to a great deal of it, but personally, but not all of it. I mean, there are so many layers, y'all. When you do energy work and you really get into this aspect of yourself, I mean, this is a lifetime process, but honey, that concept is being explored. Okay. So that's that. And then we have this concept of familial loyalty. Would you remain loyal to someone who is constantly disrespectful to you because they're family? Would you do that? We all compromise and do things. Okay. I'm dealing with this situation right now, and I'm actually about to do a cord cutting of someone because I'm just not, I have decided within myself, you have to deal with these situations the best way you can individually, but on the energetic aspect of the situation, I'm no longer going to be dealing with somebody. We're done vibrationally. They're done with, I'm done. We're done. We're finished. So yeah. Would you? I have this thing, like, I might give you a very limited modicum of respect, but I'm not going to give you the full respect that you think you earn based on your title. If you sit up there and disrespected me for years on years, that's abuse. And I'm sorry. I don't care what your title is. I don't care what it is. It's just, I don't care. So I'm a low key nah. Would you though? Would you be loyal to somebody just because they family? Would you? For me, low key, nah. Low key. Okay. So, then what else? I mean, there is so much. Oh my God. I had so many questions. Okay. Oh, also, who is Tic's daddy? Who's his daddy? Who is his daddy? Okay. That's what I want to know. Who is his daddy? Who is his daddy? Because we need to know. I think we know, but still, we need some more confirmation. I need a follow up to that. Who is his daddy? Okay, so there's that. And then I wrote something else here, but I don't know what the hell I wrote. So let me move on. You know when you write notes, but you don't recognize your own notes. So, oh, you guys, spoiler alert. Is Uncle George dead? Is he really dead? Or is he just TV dead? I'm positive we're going to see him some more. This is not the end. Okay? This is not the end. So there's that. Horatio Winthrop. Y'all know the scene when they were in the dining hall with the order and they were all having a merry old time until Atticus told them to get the F out. Woo! That scene. They were going through the names. They went through 2 names, right? They went through Atticus. We saw Atticus' great granddaddy's name, but then we also saw Horatio Winthrop, who I guess is another founding father of this lodge. Who is that? And then I was also wondering if William is actually connected to that family. I had that question. I was like, who that is and who is that? If you that's something where if you only watch it once, you got to go back and rewatch and pay attention, like I'll be doing. Go back and rewatch. Who is that? Are they going to come up? I wonder if so if the Brave Whites are number 1, then are they number 2? Okay, are they the VPs of this whole organization? So are they going to come into power? Because that's how hierarchical structure works. Are they the VPs? Are they going to try to do some type of power grab situation? Because I know that there's politics involved in this whole magical situation. I know there is. These people ain't just wielding this amount of power. This is a lot of power. Trust me, it's people trying to grab. So let's see if we're going to have a Game of Thrones situation happening with this. So who is Horatio Winthrop? Okay. And then what children We're Hanna referring to, and I mean, I keep doing Hanna. Dora, oh my God, that's the confusion, y'all. What children was Dora referring to in George's ayahuasca scene? Because she brought up the kids. You get to see your kids. What kids? There is more than one. There's another. There are others. What kids? So, that, okay. We still don't know how she died. I'm guessing there was some sort of accident. And to be honest, I'm also guessing that the accident wasn't actually an accident. Something happened. That was some supernatural sniper bullet. Ooh, I am going to have to edit this. Daggone it. I tried, y'all. I tried to watch my mouth, but I'm going to have to edit this. Anyways, so there's that. And then some supernatural power play was probably the cause of her demise, okay? Like, there was something mystical about how she died. She didn't just die. So there's that. I wonder if I'm going to go back and edit this. I'm like, time management. Anyways, moving on. So, what's up with those other lodges, though? Because they brought up the fact that there were these lodges. George brought up the fact because he did his research. There's these lodges all over the country. So I know we're going to be seeing other witches and wizards. We're going to be seeing more from different parts of the country. But are they going to have a problem with Atticus? Yes. Answering my own question. Okay, in the ring that ring that Atticus has, my question is that ring like a magical lightning rod? Will it play a larger role later in the series? The answer to that question is yes. Atticus is probably one that can bring back everybody because they deal with life magic, right? They specialize in life energy. So he probably can bring all of them back. He got the chi, he got the power, he got the pull. But here's another question. If you had this whole racist, problematic family tree, like branching your family tree, and you had the ability to bring them MFers back, would you? Or would you let their ASSs stay dead? Would you? I'm scandalous like that. Really deep down. They would say, dust it. You stay in the dust. You just dust it. I just would not. I wouldn't. But then we go back to that concept of we all need each other. And if that's the case, then we need stank ASSs like this too. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. That's a catch-22. So there's that. Okay. And then, Letty. Letty died. Sam killed her. Shot her. Okay. In the gut. She was dead. Okay, and dead for a minute, long enough to go to the other side. We saw when she was brought back to life, resurrected, she had a moment, like a deep moment. She was traumatized because she was dead. But my whole thing is, when you dead, you get deplaned. You not on this plane. You on some whole other stuff. So what did she see? What did she see? And is she the same? And I mean that from a human perspective. Like, is she the same? Is she the same psychologically and also supernaturally and magically speaking? Is she the same? Or did she come back with some abilities or something like that? Can she see? Because here's the thing. Once you see beyond the veil, you can keep seeing that stuff. Because that portal in your mind is open. Like, it doesn't necessarily close. That window, that door is open. So I'm wondering about that. What did she see? And is she exactly the same? I'm curious about that. I'm real curious because you saw how she was acting. Like, that wasn't just because she was dead and she came back. No, what did she see? I want to know. And I'm also curious to know, did she find out about something about Atticus, his family, her family, some whole other stuff? Because you want tea. We talk about tea on this planet. Honey, magical tea, that tea is worth 100 million infinite teas to the teas that we be getting here. That tea is the real tea. So I want to know, did she get some tea? Like, what happened? What did she see? And then also, shout out to The Fifth Element. If you know, if you've seen that movie, I love The Fifth Element. I watch that movie probably like once a year. This is an old movie with Chris Tucker and Bruce Willis. And I don't remember that lady's name. I'm not even gonna try this. Let me not even guess it correctly. But she's in Underworld. She been doing all the Underworld movies. But that lady, she's also a supermodel. That lady, so she's the fifth element, right? And she comes back to save the earth. And they have earth, water, air, fire, and all that stuff. And then she's ether, low key. She's like the plug. And they have her in the center, just like they had Tic in the center when they were trying to power up and energize. That same scene, that was from The Fifth Element, y'all. If y'all don't know, go back and watch that movie. I love The Fifth Element. But shout out. Okay, did y'all catch the Fifth Element vibes when they were doing the ceremony? Because I did. And then also, this is going to be my last question. Is it? Oh, no, I have one more after this. So Hanna, when Hanna was guiding Tic out of the house that was crashing down all around them, she had a book in her hand. What's up with that book? Okay, is that book a book of shadows? I forget that some people don't know about this stuff. So let me explain the Book of Shadows, just in case you do not know. But you probably do. If you watch enough supernatural stuff, then you already know. A Book of Shadows is like the skeleton key for witches and wizards, with all of their spells, their ceremonies, everything in it. It'll have the history, all the stuff. It'll be all up in that book. It's like the Joy Cooking Cookbook for witches and wizards, but it's one that's passed down generation to generation to the family, through the bloodline. Okay. Basically, that's what that is. So I'm wondering if that's what that was. So that means she is the actual plug, but cause she got all that stuff. Because this is the thing, when you are, of the magical variety, you come up with spells, you be experimenting, because really magicians are scientists. I am a scientist. I'm always tinkering with my energy work. I'm always trying this, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. If you don't write that as down, you can forget. You be forgetting stuff. So you have to have it documented. It is so important. And I just got this idea in my head because I need to do this. I have been keeping paper, Book of Shadows, if you will, but I just lost that recently, about a year ago. Something happened where some energy, basically, that I've had to clear, that was taken away from me. So I'm gonna have to do a digital one. I just realized that, to keep stuff in order, because I have restarted, but I need to go back and start doing a digital one because we don't have time for this. We have the cloud now, and I need to use it. So that's a tip if you're a witch or wizard, a practicing witch or wizard. Put your stuff in the cloud, because you know what? Energy is interesting and stuff be happening to your stuff. But anyways, in this instance, Hanna is a supernatural cloud. She has it. And obviously, Hanna is not actually dead. So yeah, what's up with that book? And then the last question. So if you have, I don't know how y'all getting this. Some of us are doing this legally. Some of us are doing this the Amazon Fire Stick way. However you're doing it. I happen to be doing this legally. Did you see the preview? I told y'all, baby girl was psychic. Did you see her with the Ouija board in the preview? Huh. What's up with that? Okay. Does she find out she's psychic in an upcoming episode, in that Ouija board episode? Pay attention to that. Okay. Does she learn something about her family that she didn't know about? Pay attention to that. So I'm gonna leave you with that. Moving on to the tidbits, which are factoids in my analysis. So we talked about sigils earlier. They have bad sigils. Like, I was like, oh, these sigils are fire. I was like thinking to myself, what can I do? Oh, I just got an idea too. Oh my God. Ooh, okay. I just got an idea. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna have to do me some sigils. Anyways, that's for me, not for you. Now, moving on. What is a sigil? Okay, so we see sigils on the robes of the members of the Order of the Ancient Dawn, aka the Wizard Mafia, And, like I said, when they were trying to escape and Silver Bentley, the sigils lit up, right? It was a protection ward. They used them to seal the energy and seal to create a block. We see them energizing the rooms of Tic, Letty, and George. And that's when they start doing that whole ayahuasca experience situation. So sigils are symbols, right? But what happens is they have subconscious energy because they're created with words or some sort of other symbolism, but it's embedded inside traditionally. I don't know if they're doing that with this series because this is a series. They could have adapted it and used it to their purposes for creative pursuits. But anyways, traditionally, there is some message hidden inside of the sigil, and that's the power. It's a form of subconscious magic because you can't see it, but you're looking right at it. Okay, so I could write, for example, God, for example. Oh, I just got an idea for a sigil. Give me life. Okay, anyways, like I said, that's for me, not for you. Anyways, so the sigils, basically I'm being conscious because I have my hand over my mouth. I don't know if y'all can hear me or not. I hope you can. I'm speaking mad loud. I'm just being free with my throat chakra right now, just letting it out, being free. But anyways, so the sigils have special meaning and special significance to the person who makes them. And apparently this one is very special because it's been passed down and passed down and passed down, right? The order uses it. And I'm wondering if all of the lodges use the same sigil and if they're all using it and energizing it, because if they are, then it's very powerful because all of the members are energizing it and their collective consciousness is connected to the sigil, which is part of the reason why it's so freaking powerful. This is some powerful stuff right here. It's very powerful magic. Sigil is spelled Sigil. So check it out if you're interested in learning more about that and you're like a junior magician and you're like, oh, I want to know, do your research and experiment with them. They are very effective. So there's that. Now, The House on the Borderlands, this is a tidbit. In other novels, this was written in 1908 and is a supernatural horror novel by British fantasist William Hope Hodgson. Shout out to Wikipedia for that factoid, okay? The novel is a hallucinatory account of a recluse's stay at a remote house and his experience of supernatural creatures and otherworldly dimensions, okay? Once again, shout out to Wikipedia for that fact out. Whitey's on the moon. If you did not go and check that out by Gil Scott Harrington, I think that's Gil Scott Heron. There we go. Go and check that out. Okay. It's on YouTube. It's a 2-minute clip. We hear that being played. All I have to say about that is aspirations are beautiful things, but aspirations at the expense of others, not so much. Not so much. And that's another thing, theme and concept, y'all building this stuff on the backs of slaves. You literally, I mean, even in the series, the slaves are in the series. Okay. Who, now they used magic, so they had help. But who was doing all this stuff? Where did they get all the money? Okay, we already know. They talked about this in the episode. They was in the shipping business. What is shipping code for? They talked about that. Okay, slavery. So you using blood money to do all this stuff. What? Like, come on now. Whitey's on the moon. Okay, now. Here's some analysis. Power doesn't work like that. You think you just gonna take the power? It don't work like that. You can't take what's yours, which is why it has never worked in the first place. It has never worked like that. Power does not work like that, and it has never worked like that. The whole problem with systemic white supremacist power is that it comes from a place of lack. It's at the root, okay? It's at the source. That's why it don't work. Lack begets more lack. This is an energetic, universal truth. They'll never have enough because it just doesn't work like that. They'll never have enough even though they seemingly have it all. And people confuse what they see with what actually is. That's something else we're seeing right now with our current administration. Folks is just confused AF. Confused AF. Okay, this type of energetic cognitive dissonance is a problem. It's an affliction, and we're all being afflicted by it right now. What I'm speaking of, okay? What you think you have versus what you actually have. What you actually have supersedes your notions of what should be, what could be. What is always what is. That is a universal truth, period. With a T, period. Okay? I learned a bit more about Black history this year, and I mean before slavery. When we think about Black history, especially in America, that starts at slavery. Okay, we were not born slaves. We weren't born slaves. There's a whole history before slavery started. A whole one. Okay, a whole one. So, anyways, at one point in time, Africa was what America is today. Let me say that again. At one point in time, Africa was what America is today. The land of milk and honey. Historical fact. Historical fact. We weren't starved. We had food. We had health. We had holistic wealth. Okay. Our family units were intact. The history was there. The ancestral connections were all there. The structure was strong, healthy, and thriving. Now, on the flip side, during that time, Europe was not thriving. Okay, they were having a real hard time in Europe. Like it was rough. Okay, it was rough. And truth be told, Africa is doing a lot better than the world perceives it as doing. I'm not saying that it's still not Africa is still not struggling, but truth be told, it's doing a lot better. But that being said, I lost my train of thought a little bit with that. I was gonna make a point with that, but it's all I know what I was gonna say. It's how Africa is perceived to be doing today. Not saying that it's not, but it's doing a lot better than we think it is. That's why y'all need to get out and travel. Stop listening to the news and like narrative. Go out and see the world and see for yourself. Anyways, low key, Europe was like Africa is perceived today. Okay, I'm gonna put it like that. Okay, just struggling. And fact, the land was not fertile. So they had problems with food. There was a lot of food insecurity. Like they just weren't able to grow their own crops and do things that you need to do to survive. And it's important to understand this from a consciousness perspective. Okay, they were going through things. And you know what? That energy, that subconscious stuff, it gets passed down through the bloodline. The lack that existed back then still exists in the DNA of those who cling on to power today. Why do you think they so hungry and so grabby? They stay. Get Out. I was trying to think of the name of that movie about appropriation. Okay? They stay on that whole Get Out tip. Why? Why? Because their ancestors did not have us. I'm trying to tell you, it was worse back then than it is today in Africa. If you want to look at Africa from the way we perceived it to be versus how it actually is, like they seriously, it was worse. That's a lot to come up back from. Feel me? You understand what I'm saying? That's a lot to rebound from. When you coming from that level of lack, that level of deficiency, it's a lot to come back from. So you have that's why they act like that. That's why. That is why. And there's levels, there's layers to this. But I'm telling you from an energetic standpoint, that is why that is. Go and do some history, research. I listened to Audible. You guys know I'm an Audible listener. And one of my Audible listens, I think this past month was about Black history, and I'm talking about ancient history all the way up through what we know as the slave trade, Jim Crow, into like, you know, just up until like more modern times. I'm telling you, y'all, that's why they act like that. Why they so hungry? They starved. That's why. Okay, so anyways, the descendants of slaves are now dealing with their version of this, right? Because during the slave trade, we got our stuff yanked from us. The spiritual stuff and was pulled out of us by the people because they wanted us to be on their level. Spiritually speaking, energetically speaking, vibrationally speaking, they wanted to bring us down. Energy likes sameness. It does. It does. That's another energetic truth. Like resonance is very important to energy. So if we all sit up here thinking we ain't as, then guess what? All of us ain't as together. Mic drop. Truth. So you need to be cultivating your magic. If you want to get out of this loop, cultivate your magic. Okay. Now, you can have all the parts and pieces, but if you come to the table with a stank A energy and subconscious patterning, you will not get the expected result. Period. 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 You won't get it. Don't work like that. This is a matrix. 1 + 1 does not equal 2. Okay, that is not how it works. And on that note, we are going to end. We are going to stop here. Once again, like this video, comment. You know, we talked about a lot of things today, y'all. Lord, we talked about a lot. Let me know. Let me know about this whole concept of magic. Do you think you have fully connected to your own magic? Okay, that was something that was explored. Give me a yes if you feel like you have. Okay, give me a 100 emoji if you feel like you have. Okay, shout out to the writers. I mean, this series, like, I'm just really into it. It's so deep. All this from one episode. Wow. Okay. And what else? Oh, I like for y'all to give me an emoji. I said the ghost emoji. I'm gonna have to find me some more emojis. Oh, you know what? Give me a star emoji if you believe in magic. And if you listen to the last bit of this, give me a star emoji this time. Let's do that. Let me know you watch. Thank you so much. You can find me on Instagram at glampowered. Okay. For all the concepts. I didn't talk about all the concepts just like I did in the last episode. I just did a little bit. Cause you can see that I have a lot to say. So if you want my whole list of concepts for this episode, then definitely find me on IG. Shout out to you guys. Squad, you're loved. Stay blessed, and don't stay stressed. Stay blessed, not stressed. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.